to episode 170 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPad, iPhone, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar. He's out. It's a little ill. We're hoping for a speedy recovery for him. But meanwhile, I am here in person for it must have been like 2 years since I've seen you last.
At least 2 years.
We're in person here in the palatial In Touch with iOS studios. Mr. Guy Serle, how you doing, Guy?
I'm doing fine. I need the space.
Yes. You got to travel out here. The reason why you traveled out here was because of Virtual Macstock that's happening actually tomorrow as we record this.
No, Saturday.
Actually, no. I'm off a day because I've got 2 days off here. I took. Yes, it's not until Saturday, September 25th. Yes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show, but that's why we're here. But there is so much to talk about in the Apple world right now. It's mind-boggling. My head has been spinning for the last 3 days, just iOS 15. I just got to get into it here. We're just... there's just so much, but we have a couple news stories I want to talk about. We're going to talk about iOS 15, touch upon some of the new features. Can't spend a lot of time on it because it'll be here about 5 hours if I did that. But and then we'll also talk about should you upgrade your iPhone? Because of course we both have iPhone 13s coming here. We'll talk about that a little bit here, as well. So let's go ahead and jump into the news here. First article, this came across actually today as we record this. Apple releases iOS 12.5.5. Still exists. Updates for older iPhones with fixing of the zero-day exploit, which I had a feeling they were going to do because Apple did release that same exploit fix for 14.8. So this is for all the older iPhones and iPads that are not able to run the current version of iOS, or even iOS 15 for that matter. And the update can be downloaded in the software update section. This includes iPhones like the iPhone 6, the 6 Plus, anything older than that runs, not real old, but around the time that iOS 12 will still support those devices. And you have the 5S, the 6, the 6 Plus, and then the iPod Touch, the 6th gen, and then the original iPad Air, the iPad Mini 2, and the iPad Mini 3 are covered by this. So, this is, it's great that they're still supporting it. I mean, I commend Apple every single time that I see that they continue to support these older devices. I mean,
really, they had no choice because Google and Android do that all the time. Oh
no, they don't.
No, they really don't, do they? So.
No, they don't. That's why I had to buy a little dig to Android there. They're end of the road. I mean, my gosh, I have a Pixel 2 XL and that thing's end of the road. I can't get
it. Not even 2 years old.
It's like 3-4 years old. I mean, it's not even. I mean, these other devices are 6-7 years old. So people who still want to stay on those Apple devices, that's fine.
Hey, no problem.
They still work. If they make you happy and they keep
unless, of course, you have a Dodge minivan.
Yeah, let's talk about that. His arrival here in his Dodge minivan, it was kind of funny, but we'll get to that. Other article, this was in Mac Rumors as well. The low-cost iPad, which is the 9th gen that just got announced, that we talked about last week, and the iPod Touch are the only devices left with a headphone jack since the iPad Mini 6 drops support of a headphone jack. And Apple is continuing to phase out the headphone jack from its devices. And the iPad Mini 6 was the latest iPad to have the feature removed. That's okay. I've lived with it for all these years, so I'm fine with it. But prior to that, the Mini 5, the iPad Mini 5 did have a headphone jack.
Yep.
So there's still going to be plenty of those out there. So if you want a headphone jack, you're not going to have...
Get a dongle.
You got to get a dongle. Yeah. It's not going to work. What do you think?
It honestly does not make me happy. I've always been of the impression that I think Apple is doing this just to say that they're doing it, instead of it being like, hey, we're really pushing the envelope and nobody wants to use wired headphones anymore. Yeah. And as it turns out, there are a lot of people that still want to use wired headphones, especially when Apple's own AirPods and AirPods Pro don't always work the way that they should. M1 Mac Mini.
Yes, your trials and tribulations of those the AirPods that don't work on your M1.
I have not been a happy camper with all of that going on.
So it's not surprising, but we'll see where it goes. And well, let's on the next article here. Let's see where that's going to go, because the EU is proposing to force Apple to switch iPhone, iPad, and AirPods to Lightning instead of to USB-C. European Commission has presented legislation that would compel Apple to use USB-C ports on all iPhones, iPads, AirPods in Europe.
It doesn't bother me at all.
It doesn't bother me at all. Their proposal
should have done it with the 13s.
But the
should
proposal
have done it with the 12s.
would force all consumer electronic manufacturers who sell devices in Europe to ensure that smartphones, tablets, cameras, headphones, portable speakers, anything that pretty much has a chip in it and that you can plug in with a cable has to be USB-C. And I'm all for this. It should be a standard.
Yeah. Apple is behind the curve on this. And they have USB-C in the iPad Pros. Yeah. They have USB-C for, of course, all of the Macs. And frankly, it's almost embarrassing at this point that they're still using Lightning port on all of the phones. And I don't see the advantage. I see absolutely no, unless you own like just a crap ton of Lightning related devices.
Right.
Then other than that, there's no advantage to using Lightning over USB-C, in my opinion.
I agree. There just really isn't anymore. It's time to move on. Same thing happened when we went from the 30-pin connector to the Lightning.
Oh, do you remember all of the people just
up in arms? Remember that big giant adapter you could get with the 30-pin to Lightning?
But they did the same thing when they went from FireWire to USB.
Exactly.
With the old iPads.
Yeah. It just blows my mind.
At some point, and the Lightning is over 10 years old now. So let's not pretend like, there's absolutely no way that they could do that because it's such a young standard. No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, no, but no, that's fine. It's gone. That's fine. I'm okay with it. So let's go ahead and talk into the topics we have for this week. As I said, there's a lot to talk about, and we'll give you a bit of a guide to iOS 15. Of course, iOS 15 was released this past Monday as we record this on September 20th, and it was released to the public that time. We're going to go through some of the things that you would change, but a couple things as far as tips goes, I want to make sure that everybody is aware. First off, be aware of what device is supported by iOS 15. So you have pretty much every iPhone that goes from the 6S up to the current models today. That's probably the easiest way to say it. So if you have a 6S or newer model, so the 6S, the 7, the 8, the 10, 10S, all the way up to the coming, of course, the 13 Friday, it's supported. And
that's what goes back 5 years?
Yeah, at least 6. I think it's 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
But now remember, on a lot of those older phones,
right,
you're not going to get all of the features.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. I got some tips on that as well.
You got a cheat sheet there?
I got to tell everybody what's not going to be supported. Just because there are going to be some things that will not be supported. The other thing too is to make sure that you check that you have enough storage before you run the update, because these days I think most people have at least 32 gigs of a space of it, and maybe 64, the initial space of the storage that's on the iPhone. But there's still some people out there with 16 gigabytes of storage, and you're going to be in trouble. But Apple has changed the way they're going to upgrade. The Apple did confirm that you don't need more than 500 megabytes of space in order to be able to install iOS now with iOS 15.
It'll take 6 months.
They say it'll install normally when it's able to do that. So, and this was per Apple that they confirmed this. So just be sure you have you have that available. So, upgrade should be very easy. I went through and upgraded my current 12 Pro Max, which will be soon retired after tomorrow. So, but. It has been doing a really good. It was actually a lot easier than I thought. I did run the release candidate version, which I usually don't do that. So that means I was a week. I took a gamble and I installed the iPhone, the iOS 15, the release candidate just before the final version, and I also installed WatchOS 8, which I'm actually out of my mind doing, but I did it, and I survived. So it was okay. But the great thing was then when the update came, first off, I had to make sure I removed the the beta profile from the profile, because
that bit me.
Yeah, you have to do that, and that's a big important thing. If any of you out there that were running the beta and wanted to make sure it got update, well, what it's going to do is move you right to the beta 15.1, which we'll talk about here in a bit. So I removed the profile, and then before 15.1 even came out, and then I went and did a software update. There was an update. It updated it to the current version. So it was a slightly different version number from the RC, which is, I think that's pretty typical what Apple does, because that's a public version. This is a beta version, and it doesn't know the differential. So
that bit Adam Christensen too.
Yes, our friend Adam Christensen he was like, "Why isn't this updating?" And then
well, see that with my iPad Pro, it was like, okay, iPad 15 is out now. I'm going to install it. It was like, why can't I install this? And I was Googling like crazy trying to find all this stuff. And then it was like I saw this thing on some obscure page that talked about, well, if you ran the beta, you've got to turn that off. So it's like, oh, am I doing that? I couldn't remember. I couldn't even remember if I'd done that or not. Yeah. So I go into settings and I find it. It was like, oh. And as soon as I turn it off and I go back into update, it came right up. Yep. Felt so dumb.
Yep. So just be aware of that. But I think many of the listeners here are probably not a beta using beta, so you should be updated by now. And we were also going to talk about, should you upgrade? Really, I mean, that's a possibility. We'll jump back into that in a little bit here. I want to get through to the beta and some of the features of iOS 15. The other thing I was going to talk about is the compatibility of some of the features that aren't going to be available on some of these older models. Yes, iOS 15 will can install on a 6S or 6S Plus and continue on as we mentioned. But the cutoff for some of these features, you'll have to have at least a 10S or a 10S Max or a 10R or above. Be able to take advantage of these features. I'll go over some of the features. I have a link in the show notes here from an article from Mac Rumors that helps give a lot of information here. Portrait mode and FaceTime, which blurs the background. That makes sense because it needs a little more intensive processor speed, and then these processors are much slower than these are. Spatial audio and FaceTime. Makes sense. A lot of FaceTime stuff that's not working. Immersive walking directions with step-by-step directions because it's augmented reality. A lot of that stuff isn't capable of some of these older devices. The big bummer one is live text, and live text is a huge ad that Apple did, and it's an amazing feature. It allows you to be able to take a picture of text, maybe it's a sign or anything, and it automatically codes it and lets you copy and paste it. You've seen that before. On-device speech processing of serial requests. I'm not going to go through this whole list, but here's just a big chunk of them that are going to be that isn't going to be available. So a lot of the stuff may not be as available as you need. Like animated backgrounds. Not everybody's too excited about animated backgrounds, but they're there too.
I can't even remember what processor is in the SE2.
Yeah, the SE2 is fine. It's covered.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's an A13, maybe 14. I'll have to look it up. I'm not sure. But yeah, your SE2 is fine. It's covered. So
my wife's SE is probably not.
SE is not. Yes, that one's end of the road. Yep.
Yeah, she's going to be getting this.
That's right. We'll talk about that in a bit here. Lots of other things. Also, I wanted to make mention of some of the features that are not available since the release, because there were a few items that didn't happen. One of them was SharePlay. That was a feature that everybody was all super stoked and excited about, because it's going to allow you to be able to share most of you can share while you're watching a movie with a group of people while you're on FaceTime and be able to actually watch the movie together, like you're doing in
other actual physical locations.
And you're together. Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
What a shocker that the movie studios just were not on board with that.
But it is in beta, which we'll talk. Digital Legacy, which was a feature that allows you to let the person's family, friends, or members access their data in the event of their death. That hasn't been released just yet.
Death Watch.
The Death Watch. Keys and IDs in Wallet. The big controversy about having your driver's license in Wallet.
It doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me at all either.
I've got just a picture of my COVID-19
That's the other
shots.
one. That one they're okay with. They're letting that through, I guess.
Well,
But
okay.
from what I heard.
Yeah.
So the app privacy report, if you wanted to be able to run a report and actually show what is being blocked and something that's and protecting your privacy, that'll be coming soon. Some Siri-enabled accessories, not some of the third-party accessories aren't ready for prime time just yet, so they're gonna be working on that. And universal control, no surprise there. That's through being able to have universal control of both your Mac, your iPad, or two Macs, and be able to work with them all together, similar to what Sidecar does, allowing you to be able to send a image to an iPad and make it a second screen. So that was going to be the new that's going to be the new feature in Monterey, Mac OS Monterey, which isn't out yet. Has
there been any word on when that's supposed to come out? I haven't heard anything.
Nothing. I would bet they're waiting for the next event because it didn't get announced during the last event. So the next event I'm anticipating is probably going to be here in October. So I would think that they'll be pretty close at that point.
The M1X or M2 or whatever's going
to happen. Yeah. The Find My Network support for AirPods, it's not there yet. They're looking at that, and those are some of those are pretty much all the things that aren't going to be are not in iOS 15 currently
yet.
So they'll be coming though. So no, don't fret. It'll be here soon on your newer devices, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of I'll jump back into some of the other new stuff. They did release HomePod 15 software to install the updates to the HomePod. It was a little tricky to get that done because always the updates are always fun. I don't know if you ran through yet on your HomePod.
Not yet. I haven't been home, so I haven't been able to do it. But as soon as I get home, I'll look at it on the HomePod screens and just take care of it right there.
You just go right from the Home app, the HomeKit app, and then run it, and it's right in there. It says right away, got to update it, and usually it does it automatically if you've got it turned on to be automatic.
I think I do, yeah.
So it'd probably already be done by the time you get there. So, So let's move a little bit on to beta. So beta this week, 15.1 was released, not even 2 days after 15.0 was released. What a surprise there.
Yeah.
And Apple has done that many times in the past, and it's always been entertaining to see how people scramble when this happens. So again, we mentioned SharePlay. SharePlay is enabled in beta 15.1 beta, so that is enabled. So it looks like that they're going to be that's going to be open coming soon. Announce calls in the settings app. You can now there's an icon that's the announce call settings, and you can turn that on or set it to never. I've never used that feature, so I don't think I'm too overly excited about that. Lossless audio for HomePod. That's kind of huge. I mean, being able to get some really good quality, sound out of the lossless audio into the HomePods. That's pretty exciting.
Well, and honestly, they sound pretty good.
They do already. Yep, they really do. And then we just talked about the vaccine, putting cards in a wallet. The vaccine card will be allowed, as far as health records, be able to download and store it in the health app, so it's very easy.
So how do you do? Do you have to go to like the CDC and?
Yeah, I just took. In fact, I had to do it for work because they're asking us to provide my vaccination. Yeah, I'm sure most employers are doing this these days in the United States. So I just took a picture of it, like an image, and
that's what I did too.
And that's what I think a lot of people did. So, but looks like now you're actually going to be able to officially be able to put it in the wallet. So it's going to be very easy to get to just by tapping your wallet, and it's one of your cards.
I mean, I don't want to go too far into this, but why there is not a universal record that you can put on either an iOS device or an Android device or whatever mobile device it is that you use, so that you can just have it right there. Because right now, a lot of states, a lot of cities are using all different kinds of different cards and all the rest of that. So when someone comes up, whether they have an actual real vaccination record or not, you don't know because there's so many fakes out there.
Right. Yep. So let's not go down that road.
I know. That's why I was like, we're going to go this deep and then just drop it right there.
And then beta for Watch OS was released. There wasn't anything too terribly exciting that was released on that. There was really no word of what was added. Just like tvOS, we never get too overly excited about what they do with tvOS because it's always just usually like bug fixes and such. So it's so the rest of beta it hasn't been too exciting, but. Yeah, I would venture to say it'll be released here pretty soon. Here, we'll see. Where it goes when it comes to that. So, let's go back to iOS 15 a little bit here, and we can talk about some of the features. I'm not going to go real too deep into it because there's just so much. I mean, we'll probably cover it in future episodes because we'll cover a couple of things that really stood out for me. The maps are just incredible. They just a major overhaul and 3D views, and I looked at a comparison between iOS 14 and iOS 15 in the maps, and wow, night and day. I mean, they even down to detail where a tree is, and
with CarPlay as well.
And CarPlay as well,
because I was like right after I finished the update, I was coming home from work the other day, and I was looking at, I don't even remember what it was I was looking at or looking for, but I turned on Maps and CarPlay, and as I was driving down the street, all of a sudden, all the stores that were around me started popping up, and their physical locations were there as well. And it was like, okay, well, that's a good thing. And I don't know if you knew this, Dave, but you can use Siri to announce hazards on the highway with CarPlay.
Right. Yeah,
Maps.
They've added that now, kind of the Waze type of feature that they had added as an enhancement to Maps, which is great. So it's more user input than as opposed to.
There's only 3.
Yeah,
you've got speed hazard, which basically cops,
right?
Road hazard, and like stopped cars, things along those ways. And there's a third one. I can't think of what it is now at the top of my head. But those are like the 3 things that you can add in as compared to Waze, which has just honestly probably too many things, especially if you're driving by yourself and you're like, oh, there's a car broken down the side of the road and I want people to know about it.
Yep.
When you go into Waze, it's like, okay, is it on the left side? Is it on the right side? Is it a green car? Is it a blue car? And just it's like all these different choices. So it's unless you have somebody else there in the car with you to handle it, it's not easy to do.
Agree.
Whereas Apple was like, okay, let's just make that 3 choices and you can do it just by hitting the Siri button.
Makes sense, for CarPlay especially. And then, like I mentioned, the live text feature is absolutely phenomenal. It's pretty much Sherlocked any of these live text apps that are out there now because there's no point. I mean, all you do is you go up and you take a picture of something and it sees that it's text. There's the live text buttons down on the bottom right. You tap it and you scan. It'll scan through and finds all the words that you want, and it'll allow you to copy it pretty much anywhere you want, including putting it right into Apple Notes. A lot of us, I use Notes all the time, so you have a quick way of doing that. Another example they've shown many times is if you're up at a sign and there's a phone number and you want to call it, you don't have to now go in and look up and down and type. No, just take the picture of the number. It sees it's a phone number. Tap it, dials it.
Nice.
So they really have done an amazing job with this, and with this as well. Photos is absolutely amazing in updates. The fact of the matter, you can type in like a name, a plant. You can get pets, landmarks. It'll all be easily identified. Even more so with pets, if you type in a pet and you select that photo, it goes out and has AI where it'll actually scan and it'll tell you what the type. Well, no, once you get to the photo of a dog, let's say, and you tap it, and it'll actually go through AI and scan that photo, and it'll come pretty close, if not 100% accurate, of what breed that dog is. It does that, including as well as plants. It'll tell you what type of plant something is, if it can. But it would have a problem with the kinds of dogs I've had in the past. But you are your cats, but it does cats too. So pretty much any animal. So it's pretty amazing what it can do. iCloud Plus. A lot of us probably got that email if you had already had iCloud. It says, "Hey, you've been upgraded to iCloud Plus," and everybody was up in arms, like, "Okay, what is this? Oh, I have to pay for this? Oh no, it's free. What am I getting for this?" Well, you're getting some great security. You'll be able to hide your email. You'll be able to hide your IP address, which is great. And you even can set up your own personal domain using iCloud servers, which I did. I played with it. Too. It's really cool. And you have it as a secondary way of being able to send emails. Now, you can send it from the mail app, and it will give you the choice which email you want. Of course, with me and us have had iCloud accounts for all these years, and .me and .mac and
Mobile Me.
And Mobile Me. So I've got me. I got me.com. I got mac.com. I got iCloud.com.
You still using them?
They're there. You still can use them. I mean, it just
they never turned off the servers.
No,
wow.
they keep those. If you had like I still have my email at mac.com. I'll get it, and it's still my email address.
Okay.
Yeah, if you had it once, they kept the domains live. So
and they just shoot it right into your iCloud account.
It goes right to your iCloud account. So
nice.
it's at iCloud.com, at me.com, at mac.com.
I was not aware that you could do that.
So you should check your account. I bet if you had a mac.mac account,
so many accounts.
You may have it still. So, and then. Yeah, so really they've added a lot of great features as far as of all the security. And that's really the biggest thing what iCloud Plus is doing for you, is giving some better security. So notifications have made some differences. I have noticed that the icons look a lot different than what I've been used to. Is like whenever I get a notification.
Honestly, the whole phone just looks brighter.
It really does. Yeah, I mean,
which is weird.
I mean, just using it on my iPod, my iPhone.
It's a trick. It's a trick because they haven't added more virtual pixels to your phone. It's just the way that they're making the colors pop a little bit more by some digital magic.
Yep.
But I did notice that right after the update was done and I relogged in and the phone came up, it was like, wow, that looks like brighter. So, if those things are important to you, then you're going to love iOS 15.
Oh, wait till you get, and wait till you get to, for those of you who are getting the iPhone 13. I've already seen a lot of the media influencers, of course, who have their iPhone 13s before way all of us.
I'll have mine tomorrow.
I will as well. But
no, I won't have mine tomorrow.
You won't? It'll be waiting for you.
It'll be at my house
home
tomorrow.
But I will have to wait here at home to get it, because if I don't wait, it'll go back.
Was it you or Mike that said, "Oh, well, just have it come here instead"? It's like, I'm not going to do that.
Trust me. I already had the nightmare when I ordered it. It didn't take my Apple card, and I had to put a different card in. That whole thing I talked about, I believe, last week. So, so it's not. Yeah. So I didn't want to mess with it.
No,
so I don't want to mess with it. I want to make sure I get it. So
let it come when it comes.
Yes. So, but. Overall, I'm relatively impressed with iOS 15. I think they've made a lot of good changes, and really have done a really good job. Now, I didn't talk about the focus mode. That's changed. Basically, Do Not Disturb is gone. It's part of the focus mode now. They've really split up focus mode. I haven't started using it a lot yet, but you can turn on Do Not Disturb, and then you don't get bothered unless it's somebody that's in your list or your contacts. You can set it anyway. Well, they've really gone down. We'll go and talk about focus mode in another show, but there's a lot of great things that they've really granularly being able to get into focus mode, including what's work, what's personal. You can really break
in the
it
car,
down.
all kinds of choices,
all that stuff. So they've really have done a good job of bringing a lot of that stuff out with that. So let me see. There's a couple other features here. I'll make sure I've covered ones that I really they're standing out here. Let's see. I'm trying to pull my notes up here. I think I got everything covered here. Oh, here we go. Let's do this and pull up my notes here. Emojis. There's more customizations from emojis, so I know how exciting everybody is with that. And
everybody loves emojis.
Yeah, you got some serious amounts of wardrobe changes, and there's a picture of someone with a top hat and all kinds of crazy stuff. We talked about maps, the focus modes. Yeah, so the focus modes are broke down to the Do Not Disturb, which is across the whole process. You have your personal contacts, that people can come in with their personal. You have your work email or work anything with work you can put as focus, and then there's a sleep. What time do you sleep, and leave me alone because I'm sleeping. So Our friend Brittany Smith did a really pretty awesome comprehensive video of on her YouTube page, ADD Liberator at youtube.com.
Right, Liberator,
excuse me. You should check that out because she did a really great comprehensive.
She has a lot of videos up.
She does, yeah. So check out check Brittany's. It's YouTube. Be careful, don't hit your hair.
I just hit my hand.
Yeah, check out her YouTube page. It's youtube.com/ADDLiberator. And I'll put that in the show notes that you check that out as far as talking about that goes. A little more enhancements on the photos. I also talked about the photo memories are pretty incredible here. You can go through and do a lot of nostalgic type of stuff. So they really have enhanced that, which is always a lot of fun. I didn't even talk about Safari. Totally forgot about that.
That's way different.
Safari's totally
for better
changed.
Or for worse.
I won't get too much detail on a lot of stuff. I mean, but tab browsing is now in play, but your address bar is at the bottom. And you know what? I've left it in place. I still haven't changed it yet. You can go in and turn it off.
Yeah.
You go into Safari settings, and you can change it, turn off the bar, and it moves it back up to the top and makes everybody happy.
I'm leaving it because I don't think Apple's going to change their mind. Yeah. I think they're going to keep it like this. And so the sooner you get used to it, the sooner that it won't bother you anymore. And,
absolutely.
You know, and I get that people are upset when there's major UI changes, but sometimes you just roll with it. You know, it's not that big a deal.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll go out, get it. We'll be definitely talking a lot more and more about it next few shows, and because there's always something new we'll end up finding. There's so much. So like I said, information overload. I don't want to overload you. So So let's move on and talk about the iPhone 13 briefly. Okay. You and I both have ordered our new iPhones. You're in a different situation. Your wife's SE is
she's having battery issues.
A lot of different issues with it, and you convinced her, which was actually kind of a miracle, I think, because she's always wanted to keep her same phone, right?
Well, she's going to get this phone. This is the SE2. So as far as the size goes, it's not going to be that different. Mm-hmm. She fought tooth and nail going from a 5 to the SE. And I was kind of like, no, you've really got to make this move. And when we were in Pennsylvania and she started having battery problems, it was like, okay, I'm going to get the 13 because I figured 2 years was enough for a phone that was this. And I decided I wanted to go back to a slightly bigger phone. So I didn't get the 13 mini. I did get the regular 13.
Okay.
I didn't need all the camera improvements. I got the 13 blue.
Yeah, I got the same color. That's great. I mean, and you just got to get yourself a case, and then you're going to be good, and you'll probably be very, very happy. I saw some of the results of some of the camera from many of the influencers are taking lots of pictures of someone with a tripod with both phones next to each other. It must be nice to be able to do a real true level test of between the two. The photos are fine. I mean,
and remember, I use mine to do Guy's daily drive.
Right.
So, it's compressed anyway as far as video goes,
right? Because
it's going into the book of faces, and so. If it's it's a 4K phone, it's a 5K phone, it's just like Facebook doesn't care. It's going to compress the hell out of it, and you're going to have the same thing that when you started. So I was like, okay, I'm good with the 13 camera. I didn't need to spend the extra money for the Pro.
Absolutely. So I got the 13 Pro Max. I've stayed with the Max model since its inception, more or less.
That's like 6.7 inches, isn't it?
It is. It's the same as the 12 Pro Max. And this is the 12 that I have in my hand. 6.7 inch screen.
That's a big ass phone.
It's a big phone. I'll readily admit it, but I absolutely love having this big screen. I really do. And I've gone to a smaller phone. It's like, God, this is driving me crazy. This is too small. So it's going to be an awesome phone. The camera is just amazing. Yep. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about the 4 of the features that the iPhone 13 has that the iPhone 12 does not. And then we'll kind of talk a little bit about, is it worth upgrading? And we'll go through that a little bit as well. First thing with the difference is they doubled the base storage. So now you go from 64 gigabytes as the small base storage, because some people are on a budget. They don't want to spend a ton of money. It's understandable. Apple's giving you the excellent value having it as 128 gigabytes as the base for your any iPhone.
Well, to be honest, is what they should have done with the 12 too.
They should have really done it with the 12. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think they finally realized that, so then they made up for it here in the 12. Now on the other hand, the iPhone 12, 13 Pro, you can get up to 1 terabyte now. So it goes from 128, 256, 512, then 1 terabyte, which is insane. Because
does it go 128 to 256, or is it 128 to 512?
On the Pro Max and the Pro, it goes all the way up to 1 terabyte.
So you got 4 storage options.
4 options.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but the regular 13, it's only the base that the max is 512.
Yeah.
The one caveat with having the Pro has the ProRes feature, and the ProMotion is going to be coming soon with video, high end video, big time size files. You cannot have a phone less than 256 in order to be able to take advantage of that feature.
Well, the cool thing about that, they were kind of showing it off at the event a little bit.
Right.
The part that really impressed me was being able to adjust for focus on different subjects in post, not just when, it's not like saying, okay, well, I need to look at this thing, I'm going to put that in shot, and now I need to go and look at this thing over here and bokeh this out, blur this, make that in focus. Now it's like you just film the scene.
Right.
And then when you're in post, if your software supports it,
right,
then you can just say, okay, now here, now here, now here,
right from
now
the
here, and it just does it.
The cinematic mode is the feature.
Very cool,
and that's across all the iPhones. Actually, that was on the 13. Of course, don't have that on 12. So another thing is bigger batteries. You're going to have much bigger batteries from the 12 to the 13, so you're going to have some, much longer battery life than ever before. I mean, this iPhone 12 Pro Max had amazing battery life. It would last me a full day and then some.
Yeah.
Sometimes. The Pro Max will have the largest of all the batteries.
Understandable.
Which is understandable because of the size. Now, of course, going to the Pros, you're going to have the 3 lens zooms. You got the wide angle, the telephoto, and the standard lens that's on there. That's giving you
6x optical zoom.
Optical zoom, right? Which is insanely clear.
Yeah.
I've seen some demos already. I can't wait to give you my review once I get it, because from what I saw of people who have them already, they're zooming up. They were zooming 6x, and it was like didn't even pixelate. And that's the thing. A lot of people like to go zoom. I mean, zoom it to 9x and 10x, and then it becomes digital zoom, where then it's gets kind of sketchy. But it is pretty impressive. And like we talked about, the cinematic mode, I think is just awesome, pretty amazing. I mean, just to have you're filming yourself and you're looking at the camera, and then there's someone behind you, and then you go turn and look over at them, and it focuses on that person behind you, and also having the ability to be able to do it all in post on the phone is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And the bigger sensors are going to be a big thing between the 13 and the 12, the main sensor is now going to be across that'll take advantage of lower light photography, so night mode is even more improved, and I've seen some of the pictures. The other thing in post too, you can adjust the aperture in post. You can actually bring down the aperture, like say if you want to bring it down from 2.4 to 1.8, you can do it after the picture.
You can.
It's computational photography, so it's going through it that way.
That's certainly more in.
So it's kind of an adjustment of a depth of field, where giving that change, and so it's pretty amazing for that. So the other thing I'm going to mention too is the 120 hertz refresh rate through the ProMotion. that's pretty awesome. And they were showing demos during the event and how it's just much more seamless when you're scanning through on a web page or anything going through it. So it's definitely
it's a faster refresh rate.
Yeah, a much faster refresh rate. So pretty phenomenal. You're not going to get that on the 12. So
no.
But with that, let's talk a little bit about, is it worth upgrading at this point? And that's been the question. Is it really worth it?
For the last few years.
For the last 3 years, yeah. So for someone who has, let's say, the 6S, the 7, the 8, the 10,
certainly
10's pushing it. Maybe you might be able to get away with
I'd
the 10S.
say even the 11.
10S, you probably should consider upgrading.
Yeah.
Because
but anything under the 11, yeah, this is a good upgrade.
And really, your old iPhone is still really good.
Phenomenal phones.
The worst thing it could be is the battery life might be diminished, and you can get a battery replacement, which it's only cost you about $60-$70 depending on where you go to get the battery replaced,
and depending on the phone.
And you can replace the battery while you have it. So
yep.
It's still around iOS 15, so you won't be left out in the dark when it comes to that. So that's going to be another reason to keep an old device. And you may like the features of the older iPhones. Again, we just talked about the headphone jack. There's still people who want to have a headphone jack.
Also Touch ID.
And Touch ID.
A lot of people. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I went with the SE instead of going with the
probably the
10. Yeah, because I was on an 8
the 10
Plus.
was Facebook. Yeah.
So I went from the 8 Plus, which was a pretty big phone, to the SE 2.
Yep.
And I liked my 8 Plus, but I didn't. But 10 was the first phone that was Face ID, and I just didn't want to do that. However, I've been using Face ID with my iPad Pro, the 2018 iPad Pro that I have, and I'm more or less convinced that this will work. If I have to, if I have to do it this way, then I will. Okay.
Absolutely. So it's really your decision. There isn't any. I mean, for me, that's what I tell everybody. If you have a 12, there's no real compelling reason that you need to upgrade right now. I'm an early adopter.
You do a show about it.
I do a show about it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm an enthusiast. And I think that's probably the word, probably the key word of what I am is I'm an Apple enthusiast. And I always want the latest and greatest.
Yeah. Well, now, it's like if you were doing a podcast about Fords, you wouldn't have a Model T as your daily drive.
Yeah, exactly. I should be doing a show on Dodge Chargers since that's all I've owned for the last 10 years. So, that's...
And we'll be taking your car to dinner.
Yes, we will be. It's definitely something that you have to think about, and I don't see it being a problem.
No.
Let's talk a little bit about the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, I didn't touch a little bit on that. WatchOS 8 added some things that are updated. You've got the mindfulness app.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, I think they're trying to compete with the likes of a Calm or any of those types of like Headspace and some of those services that give you giving you help with being calm and being
get more focused.
Get more focused. So they've added some of those features into that, so they really have done some enhancements to that. The Wallet app is going to have some enhancements. The Workout app, they've done enhancements. Of course, we're not talking much about Fitness Plus because they did in the event, which was a kind of a little over the top of it. But they did talk about some cool things that they have added, including the mindfulness app and having some more things. Because some of that workout, it's not something I'm interested in. But there's a lot of people who are really into that HIIT, I think, is the big thing.
Yeah, well, it's something I need.
We need to, and I have it. I should be, but so. WatchOS did get some nice, compelling upgrades for the existing watches. Yeah. As far as the Apple Watch Series 7, which is still not available yet, when they announced it, they said it's going to be available later in the fall. From what we've looked at so far, I see no compelling reason to upgrade unless you have as old as the Apple Watch Series 3.
Yeah.
anything beyond that, of course, below Series 3, it's end of life, so you can't upgrade anymore. So if you have a really old Apple Watch,
selling the 3.
But the thing is that's always the debate about the Apple Watch.
Get that.
You know, that watch, in fact, Mike Potter, when we had him on the show, we talked about it, and everybody's complaining the fact that anytime he has to do an upgrade to his watch, he has to erase it and start over again because it doesn't have enough space, enough storage. So I'm just blown away at that fact. And we've talked to other friends too. Some have a Series 4. I had a Series 4. I waited. I didn't get the 5. Then I upgraded. I currently have the 6.
Well, I've got a 5. And
the 5 is fine. I'm on the 5. I mean, the only difference is it's the always on isn't available on the 5 versus the 6. Big deal.
Yeah.
And the same thing with some of these features that they're adding in the 7. I just don't see any. I'm not going to upgrade. I mean, I'm gonna hold my own here.
If you're able to do everything that you're able to do with your Series 4, 5, or 6, there's so little that's available that's going to be different in watchOS 7. Yep. And they hardly spent any time really on watchOS during the announcements. No. They spent more time in fitness.
Right.
Than they did for the watch. So, and it's like, okay. So I'm good with the 5.
Yeah. So that's the watch. Give you a little bit of that, and it's not even out yet. So obviously we'll be talking about it once it gets released and we find out more. That's a lot of what we talked about. There's a lot to digest already, I think, during this episode. But I want to talk a little bit about why you and I here are together in person, and it's just a lot of fun. We don't get to do this very often at all.
No,
so
we don't.
We're looking at each other. It's like, oh my god, I get to see you.
Do I look here? Do I look here?
Yeah, we're looking at each other while we're talking here. So Virtual Macstock 2021 is upon us, and you probably, by the time you listen to this episode, it'll already be happening, but we'll mention it. If you go to macstock2021.com is probably the easiest URL to know.
2022.
Either one of them works.
Yeah. Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah. So you can go to Macstock 2021 or Macstock2022.com. 2022 is, he's got it ready for next year. We're hoping, hopefully we can do it in person with everybody and have a 3-day event. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm co-hosting it with Mike Potter. Guy's here to be help us out.
Clown.
Help us out. He's going to be the clown. Yeah.
CB. That's my official name. You
can still register you can still register virtually if you happen to hear this. And it's free. Yeah, check it out. We're gonna have we're gonna have an absolute blast.
Now, to be fair, the things that you don't get with the free version, now, you can come on Saturday. Yeah. You can see all of the stuff as it happens at Virtual Macstock 2021. The advantage of going ahead, registering, paying for it is time shifting. That's a huge one right there. Yep. If for whatever reason you have to go and do whatever, you can come back and watch every single session after it's already been done.
Yep.
And that's huge.
And you're supporting Macstock, which we're just big supporters of Mike and his work with this, and we want to support him. So it's not that expensive.
Macstock.
Yeah, we love it. We've had 5 years we've done it in person, which was an absolute blast.
Well, you went to all of them.
I spoke at all of them. In person ones anyway.
I spent all my time in the cafeteria trying to make all my gear work.
You're hooking up all your gear. So definitely check it out. We're gonna have a lot of blast. We're gonna have a blast, and we'll definitely report back. I'll tell you all about what happened, and you can always. If you sign up, you can always go back and watch the videos if you don't get to spend the time live. So check it out. One last thing we'll talk about is CarPlay real quick, because I'll let you open up for a brief story about your minivan, because I agree with you 100%. Anytime I run a car, I have to have CarPlay. It drives me absolutely crazy. Thank God when I purchased my car, 6 months ago, I'm in heaven. I'm having CarPlay. I'm gonna rub it in when we're driving to dinner tonight. You can see me hook back up to my CarPlay again. No mention of names or anybody you're dealing with.
I flew to Chicago. I got here this afternoon, and the big reason why I came on today, besides being here in person for In Touch with iOS, was to give Mike a hand tomorrow,
Right.
so that he can do some runs throughs and all the rest of that. I'm Clown Boy. I'm there providing some support in whatever capacity that Mike and Dave need. But I get to Chicago, and I had prepaid all of this through a particular online company. They have lots of experience in doing those things.
Wait.
Yeah. So the hotel was prepaid, the rental car was prepaid, the flights were prepaid. Just basically all I had to do was just show up, show my tokens, get my services, and move on with my life. Well, I get here to Chicago, and I have to. And for people who've never flown into Chicago that want to rent a car, it's maddening. You get on this shuttle bus, and it takes you to Canada, I think, before it finally gets back to where the terminal is for all the rental cars. Yeah. So I get there, and I'm at the particular company that I'm really pissed off at right now. And I was supposed to get something like a Toyota Corolla, mid-sized 4-door car. And I get there, and I'm talking to this guy, and he's like, well, all we have is minivans. It's like, I don't want a minivan.
Because no one wants minivans, that's why.
And I said, well, there's got to be something. He says, nope, all we have is minivans unless you wait an hour, at least an hour. And it was like, fine, then just give me the minivan. He says, okay, that's $25 more a day. It's like, so not only are you not going to give me the car that I wanted, you're going to charge me more to give me a car I don't want. Okay? Or make me wait an hour plus at the Chicago not even at the Chicago airport. It's at the Chicago rental car building. It's
an offsite, yeah.
Which is an offsite building. Yep. And there's nothing there other than these rental car companies.
And no CarPlay.
And no CarPlay. So I have this Dodge minivan, Chrysler minivan, and it doesn't have CarPlay. It has a navigation system, which I use to get here. But it reminded me of one of the big reasons why I went ahead and got a car with CarPlay.
Right.
Because manufacturers built-in systems suck.
Yeah.
They're just terrible.
I have it. I don't have a choice, but
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we got to have CarPlay. CarPlay is so important these days, and I thought that'd be a fun story before we wrap it up here. And yeah, it's gonna suck. So I guess if we do something on Sunday, I'll drive up with it for you. You can have some CarPlay use. Yeah. So again.
Oh, don't forget about these.
Oh yeah, you didn't even talk about your mics.
I know.
I'm giving him all this time on the show so he can talk about. This man is insane. He brought.
I don't know why I did this.
He must have brought 15
mics with him. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, mics got at least 15 mics with him.
No, I got 9 mics. Love him. I got 9 mics.
Okay, he's only at 9, but still.
Yeah. And a couple of lavaliers.
Yeah. So he thinks he's going to have this insane amount of people talking.
I don't know why. It's not even that, because my audio interface only has 2 XLR inputs.
Oh my god!
So I couldn't use all of these. It was just one of those things. It was like
I should open the other 2 ports that I have left on my Rodecaster Pro.
I bet Dave and Mike will want to see all these microphones. And of course, I get here and start pulling them out, and Dave is just like,
I'm not surprised.
What is your problem? So here are the mics that I brought.
Well, don't go through all of them.
AKG D5 dynamic.
You can't. I'm not gonna. You can't go through all of these.
The Sennheiser E835. Rode M2.
As he makes all this noise.
I know. Audio Technica 2050. Zoom ZD1. Couple of Behringers, the
and no one knows what these mics
are. BA85A and the BA something. It's a mic. It's a mic. I brought all these mics. I don't know why, and they took up a huge amount of space in my luggage. But here they are.
You're a mic enthusiast, just like I'm an Apple enthusiast. So.
They're all here.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Okay. I don't think we have too much more excitement about having mics here, but let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks, and that's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. We usually live stream the show here on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central Times, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/DaveG65. It's a little earlier today because, we're going to get some dinner.
And I'm getting hungry.
And he's getting super hungry, so I got to wrap up here. And you can also go onto our YouTube page and listen to all the past episodes as well as watch any of the live recordings. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsberg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. And Guy, thanks for coming to my studio. And where can everybody find you and your mics? Yeah, where can everybody find you?
Don't go near my mics. Nobody's allowed to go near my mics. You can find me, podcast at vertshark.com. Vertshark.com is the website where you can find all the odds and all the vids. You can subscribe by going over to the Tubes of You and looking up VertShark and like, share, subscribe. Did you see what I did there? Like, share, subscribe. It's all you got to do. There's the mymac.com podcast that I've been doing for the past 11 years with Gaz. Guy's Daily Drive, which we talked about earlier, once or twice a week, I record in my car as I drive to work. Because microphones are not my only other crazy obsession. What else? Oh, VertShark over there on the Twitters, as well as Mac Parrot over there on the Twitters. And, of course, Patreon, Coffee.com, and PayPal.me. Just go to any of those, look up Mac Parrot, and you can give me money to do this stuff.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Sure.
And I thank you for everybody for being here. If you're watching live, we enjoyed providing the show, as well as for those who are listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. And no more mics. And thanks again for listening. We really appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon.